Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Today I'm joined by Michael Day, director of the thriller Clawfoot. Film stars Francesca Eastwood and Milo Gibson. Clawfoot is a captivating dark comedy thriller that centers around an affluent suburban trophy wife, haunted by a malevolent contractor renovating her bathroom. Beneath its suspenseful surface, the film delves into themes of survival in contemporary economic times. It highlights the disparity between outward appearances and the hidden financial challenges individuals face. Clawfoot skillfully portrays the lengths one might go in order to secure their well-being. Known for his work on top productions such as Top Gun Maverick, Iron Man 3, Rare Objects, and Malignant, Clawfoot is Michael's directorial debut. For the film, he drew inspiration from Hitchcock's Rope, Dial M for Murder, and Rear Window. Clawfoot is available to stream on all major VOD rental platforms. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. Hey, how are you today?
Hey, good. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. Hey, man, thanks so much for taking time out of your afternoon to do this. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you taking the time too. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, no, I so loved this movie. I got to tell you right out of the gate. I've been interested in your whole cast for a while now, especially after seeing MFA a couple years ago. And it's just such a great movie. And, I think they've all done great work that shows that they're beyond legacy. They can be judged on their own merits. And this is such a wonderful film that has both of, these generational actors that absolutely show they are there and would be there on their own. And such a great showcase for both of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm glad you saw that too, because that's how I feel. It's like they just both I know they have that last name, but man, they should be judged for their own merits. They really are bringing a lot to the table and have a lot to offer.
Well, it's one of those things also where I don't know. I don't want people to watch the trailer for this movie. I think the trailer is fine. It doesn't give anything away, but I think going in as blind as possible, if you're somebody that enjoys a dark comedy with a little bit on its mind, that's a little bit more thoughtful than just the jokes, I think that you could definitely gain something from just going into this without knowing anything. That's how I went into it. And I was really glad to go into this and just watch the film reveal itself in such a methodical pace where it just felt like you don't really know what the movie is until about 30 minutes in. And it's almost it couldn't go a minute longer without telling you what this thing is, or it just would break under that tension. And so I think you did a great job of the structure with this one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's me and editor. We spent a lot of time together. Actually, my background is editing. That's what I went to school for. And so the editor on the movie I went to college with. And so we have a shorthand, and we have the same taste and style and stuff. And so he brought a lot to the table on that front. And it was like, okay, how much do we give away? How much do we give the audience? Is this too long? Is this too far? And he was really good at helping me keep that dialed in. And, because sometimes I want to push things too much. He's like, no, let's do it right here. And he really kept that in check for me, which is great.
And there's so many little things, these breadcrumbs along the way.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily pick up on right away, that you're like, oh, okay, you've been telegraphing what this movie is the entire time, but I've been kind of ignoring it and going along with it. And in fact, there's this switch. It's just such a beautiful, I think this is really in the kind of, it reminds me a little bit of kind of the spirit of something like War of the Roses, these kinds of movies that I would see when I was a kid coming up, and these sort of adult-minded comedic dark thriller comedy things that were just you don't see anymore. This is a genre that just does not exist, and I'm so happy to have this again. It's an itch that's being scratched that I didn't know I needed to have scratched.
Yeah, and that's honestly what was my biggest fear making it. I was like, I want to because I love movies like this, and I'm so proud of this movie, and I want to see more movies like this. And so I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be an audience for this, but this is what I'm missing in my life right now is movies like this. So I'm glad that I got the financiers to back me and support me. So. But yeah, I was like, I have that itch too. I'm like, I need more like this, where it's just, it's something a little different.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about beyond. There's the casting of the film, which I think is perfect up and down. You really just have this four-hander, essentially, is the film. But if any one of these parts are not cast properly, and they all have multiple things to do, where they have multiple things they're playing at the same time, it doesn't work. I think any one of the performances that they were off, this doesn't work. It's a really well-written film. I think that it's a beautifully shot film. I think your location is incredible here, but really this is an actor's film above all else.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And the way the chemistry was so important, the way they all interact and everything. And yet, like you said, like if one of them didn't work, the whole thing would have fell apart. And the irony behind that is, we didn't have time to rehearse actually at all. So like me and Milo and I went over to Francesca's house like a week before we started filming, just to kind of talk about the characters. And like I was, from the get go, once they signed on, I was like, I was giving them references, the stuff to look at, things I'd like the tone. And thank God, like they understood the tone immediately. Like, oh no, we like what you're going for. I understand the dark comedic quirkiness. So like, yeah, we're on board for that. And like they were really, gracious to kind of let me push that as far as we did, because I don't know a lot of actors would, because I there's a few times like I'm not trying to understand this, but I trust that you understand what you're trying to go for. So let's just do it. And then we then like I said, okay, well, let's do a safety of what you're comfortable with, just in case it doesn't work out, because I'm the first time feature director here. So let's help you, help me, I help you. So they're we're all very honest about it the whole time, and they really trusted the vision and got it and went along with it. And but like I said, like we didn't have time to rehearse. We really just kind of talked about the characters and their where they kind of came from, their backstory, and how they would kind of portray it. But day one we started filming, that was the first time we really saw it in action. I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to work. We love this. This is great.
Well, and you give just enough of that backstory to kind of lay things out without really leaning into it too much. I think it's not heavy-handed in that way, but you do get a sense of what led all these people to this place and how they ended up sort of where they are to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us have had similar things. We don't end up in this place necessarily, but I think that there is something that is ultimately relatable in these stories and the performances and in these moments that they have. It's sort of these quiet moments that really just tell so much about the characters. And your film opens up on this shot that I think you can almost encapsulate the entire film in just a facial reaction in that moment. It's kind of, that's the whole movie, is that one shot. And can you just talk about opening on that? Because that's a pretty bold way where you see that and you go, okay, something is going on. I don't know what the fuck it is, but something is up right now.
Yeah. I mean, I give all the credit to Francesca on that, because that was actually recycled footage because we see her later. So we just had color go in and just change the outfit. And it was only ever supposed to be, in the middle of the movie when she's doing that. And then me and Kevin, the editor, and I were sitting there talking, and we were going through it, like, we need something to really just gets the audience right off the bat. Like, we're like, what's that going to be? And then like we're just going through, and then we saw that shot. We're like, that, how do we make this work? And it's like, oh, great, sound design. We have the shower playing in the background.
Yeah.
Like, this is the night it all happened with the husband. And that's why she just has that look on her face of just like, what the fuck did I just do? And but like, and so we just like, okay, well, we can change her outfit color. Color can do that. And like, so then we just scrap that together and like, oh, let's put it in the front of the movie, sound design it, and let's open it on that, because we were both just looking for that right moment, because it just didn't feel right to not have something like a little teaser at the beginning. And without giving too much away, we're like, okay, let's just have this one shot of her and use it.
Well, okay, is this movie, to me, the way that I read this movie, it felt like it was almost about social media and the thing that we present to the world that does not represent the interior. And It kind of felt like that was what this film was about to me. Is that what you were dealing with in your mind when you were making this or writing this?
Yeah, 100%. Because that's one thing that my wife and I always talk about. She also produced it with me, and she was a production designer on it. So it's like it was a really small knit group of people who all kind of knew each other really well, which is fun. That's another whole thing. But yeah, like that's the things, like we really talk a lot about that. It's like everyone online, and even Olivia, who played Janet's best friend, Natasha. She's a social media person. Like that's her bread and butter. And so it's very interesting that, because you definitely portray stuff, and you see stuff get posted and you're like, oh, but you're right here on set right now. How did that get posted? It's a whole facade, it's like, you start to see like, oh yeah, like this is the game that people are playing. Like what you're seeing is not real. Like they're not at that place they're saying they are. They're not doing this. Or you're just seeing like a small little snapshot, basically like, a film frame. Like, you see a really cool shot of Francesca, but you're not seeing all the lights and all the gear around her, and so that's really like, how do we like kind of make fun of this in a way without like turning people off, and just kind of say, hey, we're all going through this. Like, don't feel depressed or whatever, because you see Joe Smo or whatever living the best life ever. Like he's only presenting what he wants to present, and it's all very curated. And like, that's Janet, like she has this life with this husband and this house and all this stuff, and it's all very curated. And as soon as the walls start to crack, then she doesn't know what to do. Like she has no other option. So she has to figure out a way to keep her husband there. And so, yeah, we really wanted that, back to what you're saying. It's like, it's really about the social media of it all. It's like, yeah, when you present one thing, but that's not the reality.
Well, and that's why I think the title of this is such a wonderful title, because the clawfoot tub and the idea of that, and it all ties back into it. But it was something because I went into this pretty blind. I was this movie about a bathtub. Is there some menace to it? And yes, there's all those things, but it has a much more personal meaning in the end. That
Yeah.
it's the embodiment of not being understood and not being heard in this. And
Yeah.
I just think it's really just a clever little title that I can't believe anybody hasn't jumped to yet, because it's just a great word on its own.
It really, yeah, I couldn't believe it either, actually. I was like, oh, this is actually, it's a perfect title. And it's on the way it comes up on screen, everything. I love it. It's like, it was just so perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's also talk about you have the chemistry between the protagonist and antagonist, but you also have their own little groups that you have with the protagonist and her lawyer, her best friend, and then you have Milo and his assistant, his best friend, where they have their buddies, their partners, and both of those chemistries are wonderful. They both have their own buddy movie going on. That's this whole separate world from one another, and
Yeah.
it could veer off into either one of these, and I was just as happy to spend time in either of those worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had a lot of fun, especially when Janet takes the kid back to Tasha's house. Then you
Mhm.
kind of see them in their own little worlds, and like they're having fun. They're doing their own little thing. And yeah, I mean, yeah, they just work so well together on camera, like, on screen, the chemistry was there. And just, yeah, like you said, it's like their own little movie. Like they had their own little like side quest going on. It was a lot of fun.
There's a sequence, and again, not to give anything away, and it wouldn't mean anything, but when one of these characters, when Sammy is just walking by the pool talking to himself, I'm dying, and it's just this thing. It's like, God, this is wonderful. What a wonderfully odd little movie this is. And I was watching it with my wife, and what do you think of this? She's like, this is great. I have no idea what I'm watching, but I love this.
Yeah. And like honestly, the funny part about that was all improv. We had like a little moment between setups. And like I was thinking, and the other thing is the editor was on set. He was editing as we were going. And so I was always like a day behind, like just looking at the footage, like, oh, I was like, oh, we need something right here. And it was that whole sequence. I was like, and this whole time, we're like, he was playing it like he was in love with Janet this whole time. And I was like, let's just have it like, I told him, I was like, hey, just go over here, stand by the tree or whatever. This is gonna look and feel really weird, but it's gonna be really funny if it's done right. I was like, just start like spitballing, like as if what you would say to her. Just start like come up with ideas, like you're just rehearsing what you're gonna say to her in person when you get the chance. And then he just started talking, and it was so funny. It was perfect.
It is literally a version of things that I think we all do in the shower.
Yeah.
When you have a meeting coming up and you're going through it, and you have a pitch that you have to prepare for that day, or whatever the thing is, you're going to be meeting with your boss, and you're just, okay, I'm going to go through the thing. And then there's a point where you get to it and you're like, okay, this is just absurd. I need to move on and walk about it. But we get that little insight that is it's so charming and disarming in the moment. And yeah, you could absolutely have a spin-off movie with just Sammy, and I'd be happy to watch that.
Yeah, because like especially with his health and everything, like he's this health fanatic, but he's not really in shape.
Well, how many people, speaking of the online thing, are like that you see online? Where, I mean, me and Sammy have similar physiques, but I'm not a fitness guru. I'm not somebody talking about like the calories and your body mass index and that thing. And to see somebody like me having that come out of them, you see so many people like that online, and it's like, do they not see the kind of irony here of this?
Yeah.
But okay. How have people been reacting to the film so far? Because you got to be proud of this one. It's a great little film, man.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so proud of it, and I've been getting some of the craziest comments. It's like good things. Like we had our first screening. It premiered at Newport Film Festival last year, and there was this girl there she was probably 18, and she's like, hey, and she came up afterwards. She's like, hey, I just saw Barbie, and then this week. And she's like, I saw this. She's like, I love this more. She's like, this is more female empowerment than Barbie was. I was like, well, don't tell me. Like, that's crazy. Like, so like I'm getting comments like that. And then like one guy in the audience, either doing a Q&A afterwards, and it was an older gentleman. And he didn't even ask a question. He was just like, hey, I'm a huge Hitchcock fan. He's like, if he was alive today, I think he might love this movie. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And so I just been getting like a lot of people just being like, this is weird. This is different, but this is great, and we love this. We don't know why, and yeah. So I've been getting a lot of good reactions, and I'm I'm happy that people like what I like because I love it myself. I made a movie that I really wanted to watch more than anything. Because like I said, I'm not seeing these anymore, especially like with the weird music and everything. Just even
Yeah.
like the composer was like, "Wait, what kind of music do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want like animal sounds. I want jungle sounds. Like I want to hear monkeys and lions." Like I don't, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, but it will. And he's like,
Well, it does.
"Okay."
Everything fits together so well in this, though. It doesn't feel like anything is out of step with
Yeah.
itself. It is absolutely speaking its own language in a way, but it's something that feels unique unto itself, but it feels honest. And one thing I talk about a lot of times on this show is films that are made with cynicism and the idea that there's films that you see that you can feel like this was a stepping stone. This is a thing. I'm a first time filmmaker. I want to show that I can do this so that I can get to this thing that I want to be doing next. You don't feel that here. You feel like this is the movie you wanted to make. This is the thing. If whatever it was, if and I don't know how to qualify that, but it's just something that you can feel passion in it. While this is a deeply cynical film in its message, in a lot of ways, I think it's told with absolute heart, which is just one of my favorite types of films.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, same. Like, yeah, because you can always tell when like the people are passionate about what they made. It's not just like a paycheck, not just like another movie to put in the books. It's like they really put their heart and soul into it. And like, it wasn't just me. I mean, it was across the board. Like, the rest of the crew, like I said, a lot of them were friends, and like they put blood, sweat, and tears in this too. And same with especially the cast. Like they were all in, and like I can't thank them all enough for bringing everything they brought to the table because this surpassed my expectations for sure.
Well, this is a film I would love to see in an audience because I would really like to. I don't really care much about kind of the scorecards after a movie comes out, but I would love to read comments and get the feedback that you got because it's almost like a litmus test where I think you could have 10 people walk out of theater and they watch 10 different movies. It's all the same movie, but I think you would get, like you said, somebody would respond to the Hitchcock elements. They're absolutely there. You could say that there is a twist and a gag in this movie, that it is being told, it has a turn and a reveal. Somebody would, like me, respond to the more comedic side of it and sort of the horrific side and that kind of thing. Somebody could get the social commentary that's here, and you could have wildly different responses to this film. There is a tragic element to this, but it's not on a soapbox ever. It's kind of, it's taking the piss out of all of us in a way, not just the characters that are here. And I really appreciate that about it.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like I like the soapbox comment. It's like I don't ever want to be preached to. When I'm sitting down to watch a movie, like if that's what I wanted, I'll watch I'll find a documentary about it. But like it's like, so when I'm watching a movie, I want to just enjoy it and like do everything as subtle as possible and let the audience take away what they want from it. If they got a message out of it, great. Like, but I don't want to hammer it home to them, and that's always my
no. For as broad as this movie gets, and it gets really broad, never gets heavy, never gets heavy-handed. It never gets to a place which is really remarkable, that it never gets corny, for lack of a better word. The movie is just, and I again, I think that really does come down to the performances, because you have Francesca is the real deal, man. There's stuff that she's doing here that is just phenomenal, where the layers in her performance, as well as Milo, the things that they're playing, the duality of what we know is one thing as an audience, but she's playing something else completely different and able to vacillate between those two things really well. It's just incredible, because they both have a facade that they're wearing for a large portion of this film. And then when that comes down and we kind of see who they are, it's just this raw, performances on both sides. And I think they're phenomenal here.
Yeah, 100%. And like you're saying with Francesca, like I didn't really fully appreciate what she brought to the table until we were in editing. Then I started to see all like the little nuances that she was doing. And like, on the day we're filming everything, like I'm looking on a little monitor, I'm getting the quick performance I need. We had such a short shooting schedule, didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of takes and everything. And then we're sitting there editing, looking at it over and over again. I'm like, oh my God, like look what she's doing there. Look at that team up. Like look at like these little things that like I'm like, oh my God, like I wish I would have saw that in the moment, because like I was blown away. She's so impressive.
You think what reads as sort of disaffected apathy, but it's actually something wildly different than that. And it still plays both ways perfectly. And that's not something that's easy to do. No. That's why I gave up acting. I telegraph all day. There's no subtext. It's all text for me. Yeah. So
yeah, same. I stay behind the camera for that reason too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, what's going to be next for you? Are you going to continue in the comedic sense? Are you going to head for something that's more of a thriller, something that's more of a horror film? Like I see so many elements of here of what you could do. Are you going to do something small scale again? This is one of those things that you could really, this is a chamber piece to some degree, but it never feels that way. So what's next for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to keep exploring the dark comedy. Like, I
Okay.
love this genre, and I love this space, and there's just not enough of it. And I want to be like one of the guys behind the forefront of this generation of it coming out.
Nice.
And just want to keep working with great screenwriters, great actors, and again, like I don't like I like the small, like, so I like these little indies where you know everyone on set. Like, I like that I know everyone, all the crew members' names and everything, and so I like to keep it small and contained like that. Like, I enjoy that. So that's what I want to do next. Is
Good.
just find the next one with keep another small cast and crew and just do another fun one.
Well, it's that kind of thing. If you keep it smaller, reasonably, keep the budget reasonable, people can make their money back, and you get to tell another one. You can get another at bat, and it's okay. Before we go, I got to ask though, because I think we both have a love for this particular subgenre. I am highly recommending people go out and see Clawfoot, but what are the other sort of dark comedies that you recommend? What are the ones that, what's one that blows your hair back?
Oh, I mean, a huge inspiration I think for this one, like this is more of a show, like White Lotus. Like, I love
Oh
that.
my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Season one, does it get better than that?
it doesn't. Yeah, and like you'll see, like that's where I got the music elements from. I lifted a lot from there. I was like, I love that style of music. I was like, we need to do something with that with animals and stuff, and create this samba. So like that, and then like more old school like Heathers. Like that was another
Oh,
huge.
oh yeah. Yeah. I
Like,
love it. Yeah.
yeah,
Those are two great. I mean, Mike White is one of those guys that I've been following since Chuck and Buck, and I'm on board for anything that guy writes. It's
yeah,
just, he's
he's good.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
So, and Heathers is one of those ones that, yeah, for all the things that I loved from the 80s that haven't aged well, that's one of the ones that I think is probably more salient today than
yeah.
it was when it was made.
Yeah, I agree because we actually just watched it again recently. Even after Clawfoot, we wrapped it. It was just another one. My wife's like, she loves it too, and like, let's just watch it again. Like, yeah, and it just holds up. It's great. It gets better, and you get more out of it every time. I feel like.
Absolutely. Dude, thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. And yeah, congratulations on the film. You got a special one here, man.
Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for all the kind words. And
No, no, no. Makes it a lot easier when I'm just being genuine from the heart. We don't have to avoid my thoughts on the thing.
yeah,
So, I really enjoyed it. So thanks, man.
well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.